Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Shea, and the topic that I chose to research was the health benefits and risks of moderate alcohol consumption. That it seems like I continually see articles in the news about alcohol consumption, and some of them are saying that moderate intake is beneficial for a person's health, and some saying that no amount of alcohol is good for you. That alcohol has also been a constant in my life since I was a child. That I have a father who drinks moderately on a daily basis. And during celebrations like Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter, the whole family would have a few glasses of wine. And I myself enjoy having a couple of drinks on like a Friday night. Scripture also talks a lot about alcohol as well, but it seems to be a very taboo subject in church culture that people have very strong opinions one way or another, yet it doesn't get talked about too much, at least in my experience. And I believe that this is an important subject because whether we like it or not, alcohol consumption is a part of our culture and pretty much every culture on earth. And a true and proper understanding of alcohol's effect and its place in Scripture can help us develop the right perspective and attitude and help an individual decide whether or not it is something they are okay with or if it should be avoided. And that's why I decided to do some research and try to understand the truth about moderate alcohol consumption. It's important to understand that I am not addressing heavy drinking, which is without a doubt harmful. That the severity of alcohol addiction and drunk driving and violence and domestic abuse is real and it is tragic. But for the purposes of this research, I am not addressing binge drinking, alcohol addiction, or heavy drinking. I am strictly addressing moderate consumption. So, with that in mind, I'd like to start with some definitions. First of all, what is a drink? In the US, one drink is usually considered to be 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of spirits, which is hard liquor like gin or whiskey. And secondly, what is moderate alcohol intake? So, moderate alcohol intake for a typical healthy adult means up to one drink a day for women and 2 drinks a day for men. And so now that we've covered those basic definitions, I'm going to go over the positives and the negatives of moderate alcohol consumption, starting with the positives. And according to more than 100 prospective studies, the potential health benefits include things such as a reduced risk of developing and dying from heart disease or a heart attack, and it could possibly reduce the risk of ischemic stroke, and that's when the arteries to your brain become narrowed or blocked, which causes severe reduced blood flow. And finally, a possible reduced risk of diabetes. And so while there are some physical benefits to moderate alcohol consumption, it is the psychological benefits that seem to be more prevalent. And some of these potential psychological benefits include reduced stress, an increased overall effective expression and happiness, euphoria, and pleasant or carefree feelings, a decrease in tension and depression and self consciousness. And it can also improve certain types of cognitive performance, such as problem solving and short term memory. And so while there seems to be a long list of health benefits for moderate alcohol consumption, none of them are substantial. That the potential benefits of moderate alcohol consumption can be gained in other healthier ways, such as diet and exercise. So a person should not drink alcohol for potential health benefits. That in general, the risks exceed the benefits. A person should never drink alcohol under these circumstances. If you're pregnant or trying to become pregnant, if you've been diagnosed with alcoholism or alcohol abuse, or you have a strong family history of alcoholism, if you have liver or pancreatic diseases, if you've ever had heart failure or you've been told that you have a weak heart, or if you take prescription or over-the-counter medications that can interact with the alcohol, or if you've had a hemorrhagic stroke, and that's when the blood vessels in your brain leaks or ruptures. So the biggest risk of alcohol consumption in general is addiction and heavy drinking, which has deadly physical consequences, which includes things like liver disease and pancreatitis, cancer, ulcers, gastrointestinal problems, immune system dysfunction, brain damage, malnourishment and vitamin deficiencies, and osteoporosis. And that's not to mention the effect that it has emotionally and relationally. The misuse of alcohol can and does ruin lives. So if you are physically active and don't smoke, if you have a healthy diet and you have no family history of heart disease, drinking alcohol won't add much to decreasing your risk of things like cardiovascular disease. So if you don't drink, there's really no need to start, that you can get similar benefits from exercise or healthy eating. But if you already drink alcohol or plan to begin, just keep it moderate, no more than 2 drinks a day for men or 1 drink a day for women. And finally, what does Scripture have to say about alcohol? And it actually has a lot to say about alcohol. That in 1 Timothy 5:23, Paul tells Timothy, no longer drink only water, but use a little wine for the sake of your stomach and your frequent ailments. That in New Testament times, the water wasn't very clean. And without modern sanitation, the water was often filled with bacteria and viruses and all kinds of contaminants. And the same is true in many third world countries today. So as a result, people often drank wine or grape juice because it was far less likely to be contaminated. And that's why in 1 Timothy, Paul instructed him to stop drinking water exclusively, which was probably causing him stomach problems, and instead to drink wine. The Bible also sometimes portrays alcohol as something good or enjoyable, that Jesus' first miracle involved turning water into wine for a wedding celebration. And in Psalm 104, it says, "You cause the grass to grow for the livestock and plants for man to cultivate, that he may bring forth food from the earth, and wine to gladden the heart of man, oil to make his face shine, and bread to strengthen a man's heart." However, the Bible does forbid drunkenness. Ephesians 5:18 says, "And do not get drunk on wine, for that is debauchery, but be filled with the Spirit." And there's many other Bible verses that talk about and against drunkenness, like Romans 13 and Galatians 5 and 1 Peter 4. It also forbids drinking if it offends fellow believers. That in Romans 14, it talks about that we should not, for the sake of food, destroy the work of God, that it is good not to eat meat or drink wine or do anything that causes your brother to stumble. The Bible also warns that drinking is often dangerous and unwise. Proverbs 31 says, "It is not for kings to drink wine, or for rulers to take strong drink, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed and pervert the rights of all the afflicted." Proverbs 23 says, "Do not look at wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup and goes down smoothly." So, in conclusion, no one should begin drinking or drink more frequently on the basis of potential health benefits. However, if you do drink alcohol and you're healthy, there's no need to stop as long as you drink responsibly and in moderation. And finally, consumption of small quantities of alcohol is a matter of Christian freedom, but drunkenness and addiction are sin. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope you have a great day.